Welcome to IPHA's Interprofessional Health Talk, an interview series focused on showcasing interprofessionalism through insightful discussions with various professionals and students within the health sector. We hope to expose students to different career paths and skill sets so that they too can make a more informed decision about their future. I'm Harneet.
And I'm Jenna. Our guest today is qualifying for a Master's of Science in Applied Occupational Therapy at McGill University. He received a Bachelor's in Human Kinetics with a minor in Psychology from the University of Ottawa, Canada. Welcome, Alexander. It's so great to have you here.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So can we start off by you talking about why you chose to pursue an undergraduate degree in Human Kinetics?
Goodness, that is a question for high school Alex. I feel like most students, honestly, I didn't really know. So I went into U Ottawa, started in biochemistry, and then I realized I was not really into the research that much, but I was really interested in health and such, I wasn't exposed to it much in high school. I was actually pre-law in high school. Yeah, things have changed a lot. I was doing a lot of stuff in high school, then things kind of, but that's normal, So what really made me intrigued with human kinetics, though, was just I looked at the labs and stuff, especially like the exercise physiology labs that are offered, neurocontrol lab.
So on LinkedIn, we saw that you also volunteer at CHEO as an exercise specialist, which is super cool. Could you talk more about that experience?
Yeah, so it's part of my internship with Human Kinetics. So a great thing about U Ottawa as well is that in fourth year, you can go into the research side or do a clinical. So I chose clinical. And when I told my supervisor, I was like, hey, I just really want to do something with mental health and with the pediatric population, right? Because I had a lot of experience working with the elderly already. So I just wanted to switch things up a little bit. So he placed me with the, what's the name of it? It was the Halo group at CHEO. So it was the Healthy, Active, and Living Obesity Group. It's a research group. And so what I did with my partner in Human Kinetics was we, a couple times a week, we went to the mental health unit and we basically made a curriculum for the exercise, the physical activity sessions. So 2-3 times a week, we go in, we do physical activity with the patients in the mental health unit. There's also a mental health unit, but there's also the other unit, which is the eating disorders unit. So we got exposed to that as well. Super, super, super cool stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool. And it's great that it, I guess, supplemented your learning in university and in like a translational way. You could like apply what you learned as like a specialist with the kids. So that's really interesting. And you also minored in psychology. Why did you choose to do that?
Like Human Kinetics, things just happened. So I started out with a few classes, just here and there, and I realized, hey, I have a few classes, might as well just take a minor, might as well just put them all in.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm in health sciences too, and I really like psychology as well, and I've been taking a lot of courses. Like my roommate, she's in psychology, so she's always telling me like the cool courses to take and everything, so I totally get what you mean there. Yeah,
it's super, super cool.
Yeah. Also, another question we have is, again, on LinkedIn, we saw that you have extensive experience working in a lot of hospital settings, from, the emergency departments to inpatient mental health units, which is super cool. Do you think exploring all the different types of hospital settings helped you decide what career path you wanted to follow?
Specifically, my career path as wanting to become an OT, not necessarily, because I kind of set that when I was like in first or second year. But should you get the experience? 100%. Every unit is so different. Even if it's like similar units regarding, let's say, like medicine or whatever you're on, just the staff, right? Staff, how they work. That's why there's different managers for each unit, right? Because everyone's so different.
You said that you're interested in occupational therapy. What is an occupational therapist? And
love that question. What do you guys think it is? Yes, he is.
So I volunteer at Briere, and I've kind of seen them do their work every now and then. I guess they just kind of help people regain life skills. That's like the only way I can put it, really.
Oh yeah, no worries. So like occupation, right? That's the key word here. So regarding, let's say, tasks and function of everyday living. So I like to think about it as the things that people need to do and things they want to do, right? So let's look at that as an OT, right? So let's say, for example, I don't know, extreme example, you lost a hand, you got an accident, you lost that hand, goodness, right? Left hand, you left that left hand. But let's say, you need to do typing or you need to do all this kind of stuff related to your work, maybe do some charting, all that stuff. How would I, as an OT, help you do the things you need to do, right? With certain limitations that you might have, right? And it also goes with, for example, things you want to do. If, for example, I don't know, every weekend, cooking with your significant other is something that really means to you. It gives meaning in your life, right? We understand that, it's a holistic viewpoint of who the client is, and we realize that. And so we'll help you, how can you cook? Let's say, for example, you're in a wheelchair, right? And your kitchen's all laid out where you can't reach certain things, or like it's a safety hazard and all that stuff. How can we help adapt your living situation so that you can cook every weekend with your significant other? As an example, right?
And how do you become an occupational therapist in Canada?
In Canada, so it's with the CAOTs, Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists. So, you do your master's, so like depending on what school you go to, all that stuff. McGill specifically, it's like an extra semester basically because of the qualifying year, from like an Ontario student, because they have an OT undergrad kind of thing. But yeah, once you do that, you do your tests and you become registered, and then you can practice, OT in Canada basically. Fairly simple process.
So you just need like an undergraduate degree and then you do your master's and...
Yeah, you do your master's in OT. So you need a master's in OT. Even like for example, the OT undergrad at McGill, the people like that program, you would still go into your master's afterwards, the master's in OT. That's why, for example, I'm coming from U Ottawa, right? I didn't do my undergrad in OT, obviously. What I do, so my first year right now would actually be with the third year OT undergrads. So it's a mix together. And then I would enter master's with the OT undergrads as well. I'm kind of just going to master's. So it's kind of just different. But if you apply like, I don't know, Toronto, Ottawa, whatever, you just do your master's like 2 years and you do your test.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. As a follow-up, so alongside, like you were saying, the shadowing occupational therapist at Bruyere, you've probably had encounters with physiotherapists, I'm guessing, as a volunteer, since you said that, you help set up rehab devices. So we wanted to know why you would choose to pursue occupational therapy over physiotherapy, if there's any reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much different, right? I mean, we all work together at the end of the day. Like if you're at the day hospital, if you noticed, Jana, like in the morning, they would all like gather in a little like office and they would talk about their patients, talk about their, plans and see how they can change things up. So they work together all the time, which is important, especially in a hospital setting, right? Why I chose OT instead of PT? Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't in love with, the musculoskeletal system. Like I studied that my entire undergrad. I love, exercise physio and all that stuff, but I wasn't necessarily so interested in, that sort of rehab per se.
You touched on the interprofessional meetings at Bruyere. Could you walk us through what that looked like? So the team meetings where all the professionals were gathered together and talking about their patients. And could you also talk about what a typical day looks like for a patient that comes in at the day hospital from an interprofessional lens? So like who they go visit and things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, who they go visit and stuff really depends on, how early they are in their plan, right? Their rehab plan, as well as, what they need, right? So regarding the meeting you mentioned earlier, for like we usually have the meetings in the morning, I haven't had that much experience with that in particular, seeing what they do. I see mostly with, I have more experience seeing what the OT does in like her office of Grace. I helped her with some stuff, I had meetings with one-on-one with patients and stuff. I had more of that kind of experience.
Yeah. Could you talk more? I know you can't really talk about the contents of the test, but like how you prepared for CASPer and what the test is and all that.
I kind of like made sure my typing was on point, you know what I mean? So like, I can type fast enough. That's coherent. They don't really check like grammar and stuff like, because they know that you're in a rush. So that's completely fine. But at least, learn to type, so that's understandable. You know what I mean? Not just blah, 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 right? So I practiced a bit of that. I practiced general, kind of like practice scenarios I found online. Some people read the book, like a book. I didn't read it. To be honest, I mainly practice just honestly scenarios, just like the scenarios I found online. I have a friend, they did like they took a course and they like, they helped me. You kind of just like shared some, I'm just kind of just like the scenarios that were given kind of thing. That's one way you can do it, but honestly, just they say you can't practice really. I would say you can just like talk with other people that you know are doing it, kind of brainstorm like scenarios, like, oh, this scenario, what did you answer? There's no right or wrong per se, but there are things you can add, right? Like different perspective, and that's what it's all about, right? So understanding there's different ways to approach it, understanding how other people approach it, and if you understand that and see like there's more to just what you think, because if you just doing your own thing, you may be just like too narrow-minded in your own way, right? But if you like talk to other people, you're like, oh, I would have never thought that way. That would help a lot, right? It helps a lot. So honestly, talk to people, and you'll be set. Like if you go to office hours and ask them about like what they're researching stuff, they're researching it. Most likely they are interested in it. Be genuine with your questions. Ask. Don't be fake though. Like some profs you might not like, some profs you might like, some things you might be interested in, and just like if for example, it's one thing they really like, talk to them about it and just be genuine. There might be some opportunities, whether in their lab or whatever. Opportunities do arise, and like I've had one prof who just asked like life questions. Like I think I was in first year. I'm like I don't know what I'm doing, man. Like this research and stuff. He's like, this looks so good on a resume. This. I just don't know what to do. I just don't like it, And he's like, honestly, like he was just real with me, And props get it. Like not saying all do, some are, but some really do care about their students, and I think it's important to not be afraid to talk to some profs and ask for advice, especially if they're in your field. They know you've been through, right? So go ahead for that. Oh, and make friends and talk to people. It helps. Have a social network is a huge thing, right? University is more than just academics and whatever. It's a lot of growth, personal. Whether you struggle with confidence, whatever it is, or like you feel like it's a new city, you don't know anybody, or it's gonna be hard. It is, but what's that quote? Jeez. The growth starts at the end of your comfort zone or something like that. It's true. Like don't be too comfortable necessarily. Put your like if high school friends, that's awesome. Meet new people. Don't be afraid. Talk to people in your classes. That's some good advice.
Exactly. Yeah. And knowing what you know now, what would you hope your future self works on?
Ooh, man, I don't know much about life yet. Still, I feel like I have some stuff. Figure it out. I'm independent, all that stuff. But like you can always learn. And I would say hopefully I can figure out. I don't know how to properly invest, I'm a student. Money's a thing, right? But no, jokes aside, like just, I guess, being okay with, learning about, life in general and be open to it. You might think, oh man, you got into grad school, you think you know all this, or let's say people who have like high paying jobs, and all this. Nah, man, you can always learn so much. There's always things that you don't know, and just listen to the people that may not agree with you. Hear them out, have these like civilized conversations, and I just hope for myself, I don't know, become an OT, I guess, you know what I mean, become an OT, learn what I want to do, start contributing to the community as much as I can, and I don't know, we'll see, I'm not too sure, but I just know that with the right mindset, or at least being open to, have put myself in these situations where, I can learn more, that I'll end up somewhere, and that somewhere may not be amazing, but at least it'll be good enough where I can build on it, and just keep going up. So that's what's important.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice, just to kind of go with it and follow your passions and what you're good at and just see where it takes you. I think that's really good advice.
It would be really interesting. Yeah, exactly. It would be really interesting to look back at this interview like 10 years later and see like where you actually are. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see. My cat might still be here too. I don't know. He's a little bigger. I don't know.
So, Alexander, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it. It was a really great conversation. I think we all learned a lot. And thank you to everyone that's tuning in to another episode of Interprofessional Health Talks. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did and learned something as well. As always, you can find us at U Ottawa IPHA on all our social platforms. Have a great week. So, thank you once again.